The sun's shining light cracked open Stella's eyes. She was reluctant to open them. Everything on her body felt numb and sore at the same time. She didn't want to see the old bedroom made from a walk-in closet that was falling apart at the seams, or the plain red dress that was closer to the rag than anything wearable. Her mother had once worn it when she was her age, or the painting of her mother that looking as miserable as she felt, with the dark-haired man who had taken her away from her family, just like what he seemed to have done with her mother. She finally opened her eyes, but the dark, broken bedroom wasn't there. She was sure she passed out on its hard bed under a thin blanket, but now she was under thick, fluffy blankets that made her so hot she felt sick. This room was bright, light purple. She pushed the blankets off and sat up. Her eyes were still a little blurry, but she could clearly see the light brown bars that boxed her in. Left behind the bars was a light purple blanket with golden stars. Stella tried to stand up and slammed her head on something acting as a ceiling, trapping her in a tiny prison. She started to cry. She was already on the verge of tears before hitting her head. She started as quiet as she could, not knowing where she was, but then grabbed the nearest stuffed animal and sobbed into it. She let everything that hurt out. A moment later, she heard a loud groan. Stella froze, stopping her crying. A few seconds later, it felt like a lifetime. She heard a crack of a few limbs before taking a few steps closer. Footsteps stopped on the other side of the blanket. They crouched down and moved the blanket. Staring at her was the same dark-haired man, with tan skin and eyes so green they looked like they come from the cratering of hell. "You're awake," he said softly in the same accent she had always heard from her mother, but Mama's accent wasn't as thick. The blanket dropped from his hands quickly. Whatever was over top of her was taken off. Scared, Stella backed into the furthest corner. The ceiling came off, and she saw the man again. His smile looks more evil now. He leaned into her baby crib and picked her up. "Good morning, Atara." His smile grew larger and kissed her on the head. Over the 3 days Stella had started to notice, he mixed words from another language into his speech. He called her Atara or Ella. She knew Ella was just shortened of her name Stella, but she didn't know what Atara meant or why he called her it. Stella tried to shove away from the man. She didn't even know who he was or why he had taken her from her mother. She started to cry again and hit him. The man didn't react to her hits, but he did react to her crying. "What's the matter, Atara?" he asked as he held her tightly against his chest. She tried so badly to get away from him, and nothing she did ever got her further away from the man. After a moment, she burst out, "I want Mama, not you, not you!" On hearing her, he pulled her away and held her in a way so that he could see her face. "Mama isn't here, Atara," he kissed her on the forehead, "but I'll make her come back. Don't you worry." Stella stopped crying to hear him talk, but she burst back in tears once he finished. "Shh, siesto me, letor siesto me." He held her tight against his chest and started to walk out of the room. He took her downstairs. Stella didn't think they were on the lower floor, so she thought she was taking her to his basement. The man walked through 3 rooms before he came to a kitchen and dining room. She was wrong. He placed her into a high chair and locked her in. "You don't know who I am, right?" he asked Stella. She pulled away and tried to get out of the high chair, ignoring what the man had just said. "Ella es tu me, tu blela." He snapped his fingers as he spoke and called her attention back to him. He did gain her attention. She looked at him with the most miserable and confused face he had ever seen on Rosa so many times, though he was never the one Rosa gave this look to. It was clear she wasn't understanding him or not paying attention. "Do you want to know who I am?" he asked. The little one looked at him a bit more scared, but she nodded. "Then I need you to behave, okay?" She didn't start up her attempts to escape the high chair, or cry, or say anything. Her miserable and confused face now had a tint of anger. "Good," he smiled at Stella. "I'm your father, Mama's ex-fiancé." His 8-year-old daughter's face dropped. She looked so confused, like every question in the world was hitting her at once. What? Her voice was shaking. Yes, I'm your papa. He picked her up and kissed her on the head, then placed her on the floor. He tried to stand her up, but she didn't want to stand. Still curled up into a ball. Her world just came crashing down. Stella had always wondered who her father was. Mama had always switched topics and said that it didn't matter or that he was gone and nothing she could do about it. Now that she was far away from her mother and found out who her father really was, he was mean, confusing, abusive, took her away from everyone. All Stella could do was cry. She cried and cried and cried and cried till she crashed and fell asleep. She didn't even bother to eat. Everything was too much. I'm trying something new with my content and reading out short stories that I wrote. So if you like this, please tell me. If you want to see more short stories and stuff like this, tell me. If you wanted to go back to just speed paints and music, tell me. Because I don't know what you want. This is just something new that I'm trying. If you liked the video, like it, I guess. Subscribe if you loved it and want to see more. But bye!